The tropical waters of Bimini in the Bahamas are the hunting grounds for a large yet elusive predator. A shark unlike any other on Earth. This is the great hammerhead. Shark expert and sensory biologist Dr. Craig O'Connell is on a mission to be the first person ever to film the great hammerhead on a live kill. With the help of some revolutionary field experiments.
Clean it off, he's got it, hurry up.
And by putting this shark under the knife, Dr. O'Connell will test and examine 6 incredible senses the great hammerhead uses on a hunt. To finally reveal the secrets behind this shark's notorious hammer. The great hammerhead is one of the ocean's most endangered sharks, and we know very little about them until now. During the winter months, hundreds of hammerheads rise from the depths en masse to hunt their favorite prey, stingrays. This rare event provides shark expert and sensory biologist Dr. Craig O'Connell a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. After 7 years of research into the hunting senses of the great white shark, Dr. O'Connell has developed a series of unique field experiments to test the great hammerhead like never before, in the hope of becoming the first person ever to film a live predation on a stingray, and finally understand how this complex shark hunts.
This has really never been done before, so we don't really know what to expect. This is going to be revolutionary. This is a wild animal. We can't predict its behavior, so we have a lot of work on our hands.
Hidden within this alien-looking head are 6 incredible senses that drive this predator to detect, locate, and devour its favorite prey, the highly venomous stingray. But what triggers each of these 6 hunting mechanisms? How does it lock on to its target with eyes so far apart? And why is its head shaped like a hammer? To find out, Dr. O'Connell will go beneath the skin of this giant in a rare and unique dissection and examine up close how each part of the hammerhead's advanced sensory apparatus works. To successfully hunt and kill a stingray, this shark uses 6 senses. And the first sense Dr. O'Connell wants to investigate is the hammerhead's longest range sense: hearing.
Now, sharks don't have external ears like we do, but buried deep beneath the skull is inner ears.
Nearly invisible to the naked eye, 2 tiny openings on the surface lead down into the shark's internal ears. These inner ears are specifically tuned to pick up low-frequency sounds, like those given off by a struggling or injured fish. Within these inner ears, thousands of tiny hair cells line the walls. As the incoming sound passes over, it causes these hairs to bend. This movement fires a message to the brain and alerts the shark to potential prey. The hammerhead also has the ability to hear all around its body. This extension of the inner ear is known as the lateral line.
Right along the flank of this shark is a fluid-filled inner tube that's lined with hair cells. Now, this is the perfect system for these sharks because even though the shark may not be able to see an escaping prey, as that prey swims along the side of the shark's body, it's giving off pressure waves, all these vibrations, all this turbulence, and this is causing those inner hair cells to move, and the shark can pinpoint exactly where its prey is.
Dr. O'Connell wants to expose the lateral line for a closer look.
Oh, here it is, right here. This is the lateral line of the shark, this really small pore. And this runs all along the flank of the shark's body. This is the extension of the hearing. And this helps these sharks pick up on the directionality of a sound source. This tiny little channel right here. I've managed to find the lateral line with great success, but now it's time to really see how this incredible sense of hearing works.
The first experiment is to test the hammerhead's hearing.
So we're gonna start off with a very basic test. Now, one of the key things that sharks key in on is sound. It travels incredibly far underwater. So we have this low frequency sound transmitter that we're gonna deploy right next to the boat. We're not gonna use any chum, but we're gonna put this in and see if this attracts the sharks.
An injured or struggling stingray produces an irregular pattern of underwater splashes. This transmitter replicates those low-frequency movements and alerts any hammerheads nearby of an easy meal.
So what we're hoping to see is that a shark will come right in and check it out. All right, so the device is ready to deploy. It's incredibly loud. I didn't think it was gonna be that loud, but I have a weird feeling that this is gonna create some chaos underwater. Let's get the sound source in, Guido.
These low-frequency pulses ring out like a dinner bell for the sharks. Over a mile away, the vibrations grab the attention of a 15-foot great hammerhead shark. The vibrations emitted by Craig's sound device pass through the tiny pores on the skin's surface and down into the lateral line. This main canal is lined with thousands of minute sensory hair cells, similar to those found in the shark's inner ears. Once triggered, they send a signal to the brain, alerting the shark of its prey's location. Thanks to the inner ears and the lateral line working together, the hammerhead can calculate the size, distance, and exact direction of its prey. The sound test works, and the hammerhead changes course. It heads directly towards the boat. Now the hammerhead can hear potential prey. As it gets closer, it will rely on another long-range sense: smell. Craig is already preparing for the next experiment.
With our chum box, we're using a variety of different fish. We're using bonito, we're using barracuda. These are really oily fish, they're full of blood, and this is what excites the sharks.
A hammerhead's sense of smell is one of its most powerful senses when hunting stingray. But how does this shark detect a single drop of blood from over a mile away? The next hunting sense Dr. O'Connell wants to investigate is the hammerhead's incredible sense of smell.
So located just in the front of the head are two openings. These are nares. They're not called nostrils because they're not directly connected to the respiratory system. They're strictly used to detect odor. Now each one of these nares has two openings. The first opening is so the water can flow in, and the second opening is so that the water can go right back out. But really interesting, right next to these nares are grooves on both sides of the head, and these grooves are used to channel fresh water right through the nares, so these sharks are constantly sampling the water column looking for odors.
Due to the unique shape of the hammerhead's hammer, their nostrils can be as much as 3 feet apart. This allows them to sample a far wider portion of the water column than any other shark, and greatly increases the accuracy of their sense of smell.
Now, what's also really interesting about these sharks is approximately 7% of their brain is dedicated to smell, whereas in other sharks, it's approximately 3%. So it really illustrates how important their sense of smell is.
Dr. O'Connell wants to reveal the inner workings of this highly sensitive organ.
It's incredibly tough.
Protected behind a thick plate of cartilage is the hammerhead's nair.
This is an incredible structure right here.
This large chamber is tightly packed with plates of skin.
This is where the water is flowing through. This is where that shark is detecting all that odor. And if you look a little bit closer, you can see all the folds of skin.
These plates maximize the surface area, increasing a shark's sensitivity to smell 10,000 times greater than a human. Dr. O'Connell wants to test the great hammerhead's sense of smell. And for that, he must bait the sharks. This oil slick of fish and blood acts like a breadcrumb trail for the hammerhead. The grooves on the shark's hammer funnel the scent directly into the shark's nairs. Inside, the scent enters a large chamber lined with plates of skin, which act like air filters. As the scented water passes through these filters, it allows the shark to identify the individual components and work out their prey and its location. With such advanced hardware, it's not surprising this shark can detect a single drop of fish oil in a body of water equivalent to an Olympic-sized swimming pool. Once the hammerhead smells potential prey, it triggers an automatic hunting response. The shark primes its muscles and accelerates towards the bait. The sound and smell experiments attract more than just the hammerheads. Over a dozen bull sharks and nurse sharks surround the boat. If Dr. O'Connell wants to witness the hammerhead's natural hunting behavior, he must get in the water.
When these hammerheads come in, I expect them to try and get into that chum box and absolutely demolish it. It's going to want the food that's inside. If you get a little bit hairy down there, these sharks can get feisty. So we just got to be alert and not get in their way.
Familiar shadow emerges from the deep. It's a great hammerhead. As more sharks arrive, Craig struggles to keep watch. The hammerheads cautiously keep their distance, circling the bait. So Dr. O'Connell releases more chum to try and initiate a hunting response. The sharks move in, but turn their attention onto Craig. He knows from experience he must keep the sharks at arm's length to avoid a potential potential attack.
It was unbelievable down there. We had 7 different hammerheads today. We're giving the sharks the 2 cues. We're giving them the sound and we're giving them the scent. You can see them searching for that prey source. There's a couple times where I actually had to fend these sharks away. They're looking for that food. They're down there searching. So these sharks definitely did change their behavior.
The sound and smell tests are a great success, attracting the sharks from afar. Now that Dr. O'Connell has them up close, he wants to investigate the great hammerhead's short-range hunting senses. First up is their most dominant sense: vision. The great hammerhead shark has excellent eyesight. Their eyes are around 5 times the size of our own and able to pick up different intensities of light, contrast, and movement. Yet they are thought to be colorblind. Dr. O'Connell wants to find out how the hammerhead locks on to a stingray with eyes so far apart.
So the shark's eyes are located on the distal ends of the hammer, and they're positioned slightly forward, giving these sharks excellent binocular vision. The way this works is the image from one eye and the image from the other eye. They come together and they merge in the center of the brain to create this nice 3D image, and this gives these sharks excellent depth perception. Now, as the shark is swimming, it's moving its head back and forth constantly, and what this allows the shark to do is even see behind it.
Unlike other sharks, the hammerhead's uniquely shaped head gives it a near 360-degree view of its surroundings. A sense this valuable needs protecting.
This is a semi-translucent eyelid that comes right over the eye, and this protects the eye when the shark goes in to feed.
However, it's the components inside the eye that give the hammerhead such enhanced vision. How can this predator focus underwater? And how can it hunt at night? To find out, Dr. O'Connell needs to go deeper. Unlike the human eye with its curved lens, the shark's lens is perfectly spherical.
Here it is. This is the lens of the shark. This is the focusing power of the animal, and this is one of the most integral parts of its 3D vision.
This spherical lens gives the hammerhead a sharper and brighter image of its prey. But the true secret to their incredible vision is hidden at the back of the eye socket. A secret layer of reflective crystals. At night or in low light, these crystal plates reflect any incoming light and help amplify the strength of the image.
And this gives these sharks excellent night vision. Even on the darkest of nights, these sharks can see. It's a really incredible structure. Now, I've looked at all these structures, but I'd like to investigate to see exactly how these sharks use these eyes to pinpoint and locate their prey.
To understand the predator, Craig must first understand its favorite prey, the southern stingray.
Now, this is the southern stingray. They're really curious and interesting animals. Now, they do have 3 key ways that they can escape predation. They could simply swim away, they could bury themselves, somewhat camouflage themselves within the sand, and they also have this huge venomous barb just at the base of their tail, right here. And they can use that to just give themselves enough time to get away from the jaws of a great hammerhead shark.
If threatened, they are known to raise their tail like a scorpion and stab a 5-inch venomous barbed spine into their attacker. Human survivors compare this pain to a gunshot wound. Yet the hammerhead has found a way around this defense.
It's actually been seen in the field. Great hammerheads like to immobilize their prey first, so they'll actually take a big chunk out of this wing, As you can see right here, take a big chunk out of that wing, immobilize their prey, and then they go in for the final kill. So it's cool to see these stingrays swimming around. And I think the next logical step would be to build a decoy and see if we can somehow mimic the interaction between a great hammerhead shark and a southern stingray.
To mimic its natural prey, Craig casts a rubber decoy, the same size, shape, and color as the real thing.
We'll flip it on its back.
The final touch is to attach two small battery-powered propellers so the decoy can cruise along the seafloor.
Okay.
With the decoy ray ready to go, Craig and his team head back out to sea to test the hammerhead's vision.
It's time. We're at the hammerhead site. We have the decoy ray ready. So we have about 2 or 3 hammerheads around. I have never tested a stingray decoy on a great hammerhead before, so there's no telling what's going to happen. The sharks may move in, they may circle it a little bit, and what I'm really hoping for is an attack.
The hammerheads hear the vibrations, and they smell the bait. Now, all they need is a visual of their favorite prey. Craig needs to deploy the decoy quickly and get back to a safe distance. All he can do now is wait and watch. One hammerhead approaches. But at the last minute, it appears to give up. One by one, the hammerheads miss the decoy. The vision test fails to trigger an attack, and Craig aborts the dive.
The ROV didn't work very well down there. The hammerhead stopped in its tracks, and it knew something wasn't just right. So I think we have to retweak the entire thing.
Dr. O'Connell suspects that the real problem is that the hammerheads may not be able to see the decoy at close range. Due to its uniquely shaped head, its eyes can be as far as 3 feet apart, and this wide separation provides an enormous visual range. While most sharks have a visual arc of around 150 degrees, the hammerhead can see over 220. But this wider field of view comes at a price. At close range, the hammerhead has a massive blind spot directly in front of its head. This blind spot is so severe that there are reports of fish schooling above and below their head to hide out of view. So if the hammerheads lose sight of the stingray up close, they must rely on another, more powerful hunting ability to pinpoint their prey. And Dr. O'Connell wants to investigate this sixth sense. Every living creature emits a bioelectric field. The twitch of a muscle or a beating heart creates a tiny electrical pulse, a billionth of a volt. And the hammerhead is able to home in on these minute electrical signals, thanks to a superpower known as electroreception. To better understand how this is possible, Dr. O'Connell takes a closer look at this shark's most infamous feature, its hammer.
On the head of the shark, there's a series of pores. These are the electrosensors of the shark. Now these pores are filled with a highly conductive gel, and we can actually squeeze these pores and get some of this gel to come out and take a look at it.
Over 3,000 minute pores line the shark's hammer. each filled with this conductive gel.
Now, all the living things in the ocean give off this electric field. So as the shark is swimming along the seafloor, swaying its head back and forth, it serves almost like a metal detector. And this shark can pick up on those living things due to these electric fields. Now let's say this hammerhead's feeding on a stingray. Well, if that stingray is buried beneath the sand, the shark may not be able to see it, but it can still detect it with its electroreceptors. Now, all sharks have these electrosensors, but what makes the hammerhead so unique is that these electrosensors are spread out all along the bottom of the head. Now, what this means is that the shark can sample a much greater area, increasing its likelihood of finding its prey buried beneath the sand. So now the next step is to investigate to see exactly how powerful this sensory system really is.
To test the hammerhead's electroreception, Craig must replicate the bioelectric signature given off by a southern stingray.
We built a device that actually emits these minute electric fields. We're going to put that right on the seafloor, and we're hoping that the hammerhead's going to come right up to it, think it's a prey item, and try and bite at it. All right, there we go. That's our 9 volts. I think this thing's ready to deploy.
The visual decoy didn't work, but perhaps this electronic lure will trigger an attack. Once the electroplate is in place, Craig gives the signal to turn it on. This electrical field mimics the heartbeat and muscle movements of a stingray. As they strike the shark's hammer, it stimulates the jelly inside each pore, which fires a signal to the brain. Like a metal detector, the more intense the signal, the closer the shark is to its prey. Despite its blind spot at close range, the great hammerhead uses this sixth sense to visualize the stingray and pinpoint its exact location. The hunt is on. One shark locks in on the electric pulse.
Clean it up, he's got it, hurry up, hurry up. Oh boy, yeah, and it pretty much shredded. I'll go see what's left of the board and I'll bring it up to you.
Okay.
The test is a phenomenal success, and a clear indication of how the great hammerhead relies so heavily on its electroreceptors to locate a stingray hidden beneath the sand. This could explain how the shark's head evolved into a hammer to maximize its ability to hunt its favorite prey.
That's all that's left. About 4 bites to the board, completely demolished. We did it.
Nice.
It's probably one of the most incredible tests I've ever ran. Now, I've done this previously, but I've never seen anything like this. We had a great hammerhead key in on those electrodes, and it bit a couple times, but it kept spinning around and eventually completely destroyed the device.
Despite this breakthrough, the experiments are not over. Craig needs to test one final sense, the most dangerous one: touch. Before Dr. O'Connell's attempt to witness a live predation, he first wants to investigate the great hammerhead's deadly bite.
So these are the jaws of the hammerhead shark.
Around 80 teeth line the top and bottom of the mouth.
These teeth are heavily triangular, they're serrated on the edge. And they're very loose. They're actually not in a permanent socket.
Like a conveyor belt, the hammerhead replaces old and damaged teeth with new, sharp, fresh ones.
They can go through an enormous amount of teeth in their lifetime. Some people even suspect it could be up to 20,000. Now, a shark can use these teeth to puncture their prey, get a really good grip on it, and then it can move its head side to side to shear the flesh away from its prey.
To see these teeth in action, Craig and his team will attempt to trigger the hammerhead's natural predation behavior by combining all the tests.
All right, let's get this bait box in, get the day started.
The sound transmitter and the bait will trigger the shark's hearing and smell. And by adding electrodes into the rubber decoy, it will stimulate the shark's vision and electrosensors.
Okay. This is a revolutionary test. We've never done this before, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But if I can guess, I think this thing's gonna get absolutely demolished. Everything is riding on this test. We wanna simulate a live predation.
Once everything is in place, Craig signals the boat. The hammerhead hears the low-frequency sound. It smells the bait. It sees the decoy, and it feels the charge. Everything is primed for an attack. As one hammerhead distracts Craig, another moves in. The hammerhead tears into the decoy with over 1,000 pounds of bite force. The shark strategically works its way from the wing to the decoy's tail. Dissatisfied with the taste of rubber and silicone, the hammerhead leaves its kill behind. Craig can't believe what he's just witnessed.
The tail is gone. Oh man. It's the most incredible predation right there. Look at all these bite marks right here. So it actually bit it on its wing. That's its actual predation behavior. That's what we know about it. It bites its wings, it tries to, mobilize their prey, and we got it.
The very first thing I noticed is that hammerhead came in. It bit the wing of the stingray, okay, and it tried to immobilize the stingray. One of the key defenses of stingrays is that barb at the end of the tail. And one of the most interesting things that happened is that hammerhead bit the tail right off. It was the most unbelievable test I ever conducted, and it was the most realistic predation you could have ever hoped for.
Craig has successfully tested each of the hammerhead's amazing senses. But there is one more event he wants to witness: a live predation.
The ultimate goal is to witness a great hammerhead feeding on a live southern stingray. Now, this is going to be incredibly hard, and it's never been filmed before underwater.
To observe such a rare event, Craig must follow a hammerhead in the hope it leads him to its secret hunting grounds. And for that, he'll need to tag a shark.
So this right here is going to be one of the first ever tags applied to a great hammerhead shark right here in Bimini.
Craig and his team are heading into uncharted territory with this mysterious predator, and the pressure is on.
All right, guys, I think this site looks pretty good. We got some clear water, not too much swell, so I think this is where we're gonna get going.
Sounds good. We're just gonna set the anchor.
All right, perfect.
To tag a shark, it means Craig has to attach it by hand. He only has one chance. If he misses, the hammerhead will vanish back into the deep.
Is that a hammerhead right there, guys? All right, let's get it going. See if we can get it over here. All right, Guido, we got a shark here right now. Can I have the tagging pole? Thank you.
Craig needs to get close enough to insert the tag at the base of the shark's dorsal fin. It's a direct hit. But the shark doesn't hang around.
Go, go, go! It's headed that way! We got him!
Immediately, the hydrophone picks up the tag's unique signal.
Well, get the crate up, get the crate up, we got him! We got to follow him now, let's go!
Craig and his team cannot let it out of their sight. If the shark swims out of range, they could lose the signal, and the shark forever.
Sean, we're just gonna stay put here. We don't want to scare the shark off, so we'll be hanging out.
Okay, sounds good.
After an early chase, the tagged shark appears to have settled down.
So we just tagged about a 10 to 11 foot great hammerhead shark. Upon tagging it, immediately went out to the Gulf Stream, but now it's come back to the same general area, and we got it again.
As the team tracks the shark, they record its movements with GPS locations.
Katie, I'll need a distance, and Craig, I'll need a bearing.
Shark's in this direction, and it's about 75 meters.
Thanks.
Right now we're at about 130 degrees. We're southeast right now, Caroline.
The information they'll gather is incredibly valuable to not only protect the species, but also preserve the habitat in which it lives.
We got a big storm coming in on the horizon right now, so we got to try and get as much data as we can.
The team cannot afford to waste this unique opportunity and battle through into the night. By first light, the hammerhead finally appears to have stopped. Something in the area has got its attention, and it has begun to change its behavior.
We're absolutely exhausted right now. We've been tracking this great hammerhead shark for nearly 16 hours. We're in a little bit shallower water now, and as we got to this site, we did see a couple other hammerheads that were cruising along the seafloor. And it's starting to make me think that we found the site we've been looking for. This could be the hunting grounds.
Craig could be one of the first to witness and film the live predation of a great hammerhead shark on a southern stingray. This rare opportunity comes with its own dangers.
You don't want to find yourself in between a great hammerhead shark and a southern stingray while this is going on. So if you're in the middle of them, you could be in a really dangerous position. So you gotta give these animals their space.
Once Craig enters the water, it's clear the hammerhead is not alone. A large bull shark is also on the hunt. The tagged hammerhead begins its search, scanning the seafloor for any signs of life. The stingray may be hidden beneath the sand, but it cannot hide from the incredible hunting senses of the great hammerhead shark. The shark waits for each sense to be triggered. Hearing, smell, sight, electroreception, and touch. The stingray has no other option but to bolt from cover. The shark uses its hammer to pin the ray down to the seafloor and tries to get a good bite. But the ray fights back. Finally, the hammerhead locks onto the wing to immobilize its prey. But with blood in the water, the bull shark tries to muscle in. The hammerhead returns to finish off its meal.
That was one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in my life. I never thought I'd ever see it, but we just had a great hammerhead feed on a living stingray right on the bottom, and it was exactly what we expected to see. This hammerhead actually came up to that stingray, pinned it down to the seafloor, immobilized that ray, and it consumed it. It was unbelievable.
Being a scientist and being able to witness things like this it's a dream. It's a dream come true. They're really rare, and so to be able to be a part of that is just something that, it's a special moment in my life.
Dr. Craig O'Connell has finally uncovered the true secrets to this incredible predator. With the help of a detailed autopsy to examine each of the hammerhead's advanced sensory apparatus, to a series of revolutionary experiments to test the true power of the great hammerhead, his investigations prove this shark to be a highly sensitive and intelligent hunter, perfectly evolved to hunt stingrays.
I've learned a lot about great hammerheads while I've been here, but I need to learn more. And with this information, we can properly protect them. We can protect the habitats they live in. It's quite possible that in our lifetime, these graceful, these magnificent, these beautiful animals can go extinct. So we have to do all we can to conserve them. For a world without sharks is not going to be a healthy one.